Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Paul.
What have you got there?
My app has all this data and I just don't know what to do with it.
What kind of data?
Well, I've got some settings, some images, a few lists. How should I store it? Where should I put it all?
That's a great question. Let's find out. High five! There are a couple of options for how to store data in Cascades on BlackBerry 10, depending on what sort of data you have. We're going to talk about three of the main ones, starting with QSettings. QSettings is very simple and easy. It's great for storing small bits of information like configuration data. You provide a QString key and a QVariant payload to the setValue method and retrieve it by passing in your key calling the value method. Data is saved out to the file system at regular intervals and when the app closes, so you don't have to worry about that yourself.
QFile is for basic file system access. You can do things like save, move, copy, and load any file your app has access to. It's great if you have binary data like an image that you want to write out to the file system for later. You get simple read and write functions with QFile itself, but you are more likely to use it in conjunction with something like QTextStream or QDataStream. For example, to write text out to a file, open it as a QFile, use it to create your QTextStream, and use the stream insertion operator to write out your text. Flush is automatically called in the QTextStream deconstructor. This type of basic file access is pretty standard across different platforms and languages, so hopefully it's already familiar to you.
In Cascades, we have a collection of DataAccess classes that let you easily load and save JSON, XML, and SQLite data. You can use these classes to conveniently load bits of data into your queued objects, but the real power comes in when you're working with lists. It's very easy to combine these classes with a data source object to abstract the data, and a list view component to display it. You can even load remote JSON and XML data, as well as handle large sets of data asynchronously for a silky smooth UI.
That's all great, but how does the BlackBerry file system actually work?
Well, if you load an app onto your device in debug mode and poke around with the target file system navigator, you may notice that there are a bunch of folders and directories created for you. In fact, it may look a little something like this.
Let's talk about what each of these directories are for.
Well, the app directory holds files packaged in with your application, like the contents of native/assets. It's very useful for accessing static resources or for including default versions of files. It is read-only though, so if you want to edit a file there, copy it to the data folder first.
The data directory is your app's private storage area. The files in this directory can be edited and are available to only your app. You can store any data here that you need access to later. The data directory is deleted automatically if the user deletes your application. In fact, all of these folders,
other than shared,
are deleted with your app.
DB is for databases. You can put databases there if you want, but you don't have to. We're not the database police. Also, this folder may not actually be created for you automatically.
The logs directory is where standard error and standard out are written.
Shared gives you access to the shared part of the file system. You need a special permission to access things here, and you can see things like the camera, documents, music, any other folder the user has created. If they have Box or Dropbox set up, those folders will be available as well. Don't put files there that only your app can understand, as they won't be deleted with your application. Also, don't put files there that your app requires to exist, as they could be deleted by the user.
The shared with folder is used by the invocation framework when sharing files.
And finally, if you have data you want to cache or you need some scratch space, you can store files temporarily in the temp folder. The app should clear them regularly, and the OS may clean it out when your app isn't running.
Wow, that was pretty useful. So it sounds like I should use QSettings for my settings, load my list with the right data access class, and use QFile for anything else. I can pack images and other defaults into the assets folder, but if I need to modify them, I'll have to put them in the data folder first.
You got it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, you can always reach us at pbernhardt
or at eronin. Happy coding!